There we go. Didn't take too long to get back into the swing of things. Going to try this again here. Game number 2 now for the Saints after going down extremely early. After it looks like Lasix got jumped on. Judy tried to recover, and then Siri was a little bit far behind. Could not cover up and get there for his squad. And that squad that they did end up playing up against, of course, doing a solid job of just basically just deathballing it. All three of them constantly together, making it extremely difficult for those 1v3 scenarios. Obviously so. So Saints got to try this again. See what they can do. Going to be opting for this similar situation. Similar location this time by. And of course, all of today's matches will be brought to you by the point of view of series. Which, of course, again, unless he does end up going down, then he'll be able to switch over to one of his teammates, one of his fellow Saints, see what they're up to. But for at least the meantime, we will be riding along here with our player coach. Sierra, of course, here for his second semester, maybe a third semester in a row here for the Saints Fortnite squad. Has been, of the three, the best solos performer, but also with that solos experience, able to assist Lasix and Junie as well. We're doing absolutely fantastic in their own right as well, don't get me wrong. It's definitely not a situation of a carry, not even close. Lasix and Junie definitely can definitely fight back as much as Siri can here. Give me a hey guys if we're rooting for Siri. Well, what if I give you a Griff to root for all the Saints here in this situation there? Gonna raise our Griffins for our Saints squad, but of course, send Siri your energy as well there with your hey guys. And it's definitely a little bit disappointing there for Siri in that last one. Of course, we can't necessarily catch the loadouts of Lasix and Junie as of right now. However, Siri seemed to have himself in an okay spot. He had himself a crossbow. He had himself a purple scar, which going into the mid into late game, that would have been a nice option to have, but not going to be able to make use of it. Did end up going down because no matter how good of an assault rifle you have, you can't shoot three things at once, so does end up going down there. So commentators curse would say that, oh, this was a very quiet landing here for St. Clair, that they get to do all of their looting and all of their farming as much as possible, basically uncontested, and then boom, battle out of nowhere, right? I'll have to see in a second. As of right now, it seems quiet. Siri could have full shields, but hanging on to it, probably wants to share with some of his teammates, or actually, of course, how have I forgotten that there is this truck right here that everybody can rendezvous at and get a nice splash of full shields, basically for free. With each of the Saints basically having their own rides, this does let them split up and conquer over more ground. But of course, gotta watch out if the situation happens very similarly to the last game. It could be trouble if one of the Saints do get jumped on, and it takes the rest of the squad a little bit too long to get themselves back into safety. It could be trouble. Confidence is key, absolutely. After a loss like that, it can sometimes be a little difficult to try and hop back into the swing of things, but of course, the Saint squad, they know that they can get better than that this time by. And so far, so good. 77 players still in the game as of right now. I do believe we started with about 90. I'm going to say it looks like Lasix is teleporting, but nope, that's just because he's in the Rocket League car. On a completely off note, did you see that they're adding the NASCAR Ford Mustang and the F1 cars into Rocket League? I found that so cool as a race fan myself. I hardly even play it, I kind of want to pick up the F1 car. Back to the game actually at hand here. We did see for just a second there, Siri spotting some teammates, opening fire on their vehicle a little bit. Of all the cars available, he picks the most raggedy, roughed up one possible to make his move in, but to be honest, he got away with it, so fair enough. Fair play. Get yourself right up in front here, and they are looking for blood. They want to hunt them down. Siri leading the charge up the top of this tower. There is another squad or some teammates just off to, I would believe it'd be the northern section, and we do see by this ship as well some more players at hand. So a bit of a kerfuffle here to start off this game. Storm is moving as well. That is going to be a nice little shot there for Siri. Good little shotgun shot to the face to give about 40 damage or so. Takes a little bit of shield damage himself, however. Not much, just a little mark. Does spot the one player, and he should be able to pick this one up nice and cleanly. That is going to be that'll be going down. Siri gonna get, of course, credited with that one, giving his squad 2 points. And that is actually not a player. That is an AI. As you can see, Siri could basically just face tank this like it's nobody's business and just pick up that upgraded shotgun for himself. Very nice. Never mind, not the shotgun he was looking for. That definitely got a little bit confusing there. It was the one AI or the NPC in the mix with an actual player that Siri was able to clean up. So 2 points on the board here for St. Clair. And some more considering positioning, but of course not going to technically calculate that until we get towards the end of the round. They're going to be stuck going through the storm, however, should not be much of a problem here for them. I mean, Siri specifically does not have any sort of actual health healing as of this moment, but I don't think they have to travel too much further. Maybe I'm wrong. He did end up actually trading in one of those shields for some bandages, so not 100% confident that he can make it all the way there without necessarily needing to heal. And okay, I see what he's doing there. He's chucking that shield over and over again so he can carry these bandages, heal himself up, but yet still be able to pick up that shield later on down the road. He's going to keep leapfrogging this thing. And yeah, sure enough, storm location here for the Saints is not necessarily a good one. They have to go all the way down the map, it looks like. A little bit more places to go. He's going to keep leapfrogging this shield. But how much farther do they have to go until they actually get themselves out of here? Siri must be confident because he's definitely taken his time loading up on some extra wood. That last interaction there with, I think that was Battle Heavy, did take up some of his resources. So wants to get close to that 500 mark once again, because of course once you get into a late game scenario, you cannot exactly really worry about what your what kind of resources you can gather, because you can't gather anything unless you just happen to luckily run into it. And sure enough, Junie and Siri both going to play with our heartstrings a little bit as they sit there at 10%. Clean up and get themselves into this proper positioning. Hanging on by a thread. And now you can pick up that shield that you've been leapfrogging this entire time. Nice job, to be honest, of being able to keep that resource. Now, of course, what is this, wolves? Yes, in fact, rabid wolves are here on site as well, because bone chips act very similarly to what some of the gears do in what I was discussing there in round number 1. Some of those bone chips can be used to upgrade, I believe it's the bow and arrow specifically. And then the meat that you gather is basically just a bandage, but it does not take anywhere near as long to actually use. And at least this time here for St. Clair, they can take an opportunity to load up on resources, take some time to craft, and there we go. That's going to be the shotgun, I believe, or is that the heavy assault rifle there for Siri? I think that's the heavy, considering he has another shotgun just on the left-hand side. So, yeah, sure enough, that is going to be the heavy assault rifle. So, not a Scar, but I mean, it's still a very good weapon in its own right. And this time, of course, Saints are able to loot up nice and quick because Storm's on its way, but this time they're actually very close to the safe zone. And as of right now, it doesn't look like anyone's taken the opportunity to really fortify up. There is the one over to the left, but that looks more of like a building used off of strictly an engagement. You can see Lasix being very cautious, however, of course, moving into territory where you see some of these buildings. You never know who's sitting there acting like a prairie dog up at the top of a sniper tower ready for you to show your face. And now it's gotten into the point where we may have seen off in the left-hand corner where the Saints have reached a certain point where they're starting to get 2 points per position gained here in this matchup. As we now have ourselves another engagement that the Saints seem to have found themselves upon. Siri going along in with, I believe that is Lasix. They're going to be knocking on the door, sort of speak, try and breach on through. One from one end, and that's a good little flanking maneuver there from the Saints. One on each side, and Lasix going to clean them up, looks like in just a moment. One down, two down. There's just probably one more player left. They're going to make sure that they can get themselves as much resources as possible. Stealing the card, I believe, as well. That was interesting, to say the least. Not a whole heck of a lot of fantastic loot here off that player, but gathering resources and then gathering the healing items is definitely going to be useful. It looks like Siri did actually upgrade the shotgun as well. Gets himself a blue one. And then as we get into the late game, passing over one of those fish or stacking fish onto one of your teammates to have them or basically outlive everybody in a heal off, basically, can be clutch. But you need more than one fish to really do that here. And shots fired again. We do see one team coming through on the truck, but there is another team right on the other side. Saints in a risky position to possibly find themselves pinched in here, but they are pretty well dead center of this safe zone if they want to try and build the fort up. But that being said, take a look up on this hill here. You see another team already thinking the same thing. Junie up there? I'm not 100% sure. Maybe possibly looking to use that player's fort, but we'll have to see momentarily. There we go. Seeing Coach Setsuba from our Saints Hearthstone team here in the chat. Of course, give big props to the Hearthstone squad for their second place overall finish in the OPSE playoffs. Absolutely fantastic stuff. I know they have some more, another season still going on as well, so much love to them. I know we don't get to see them a whole heck of a lot here on the Saints stream, but they're still doing absolute work overall, so big props to them. Saints looking completely content now in a spot that they absolutely want to be. You can hear in the background lots of gunfire between sniper towers, and in fact, Siri gonna actually take down. Okay, I see what he's doing there, trying to find the sight line. I'm gonna say, last time I remembered, you cannot gather wood by shooting at a tree, but you can, of course, knock it down. Give yourself that extra sight line. And then anytime you hear me referring to somebody prairie dogging it up in a sniper tower, this is exactly what I'm talking about, what we're seeing Siri do right here. Sitting there in crafting mode, of course, lets you see through your own buildings. So you can actually spy and scout on everything else that's going on without actually exposing yourself to any possible gunfire. So safe stuff nonetheless. And considering you're dead center in this sweet spot, in the safe zone, definitely don't want to try and make a move unless somebody or like multiple teams are literally going to knock your fort in. So that's going to be unlikely. So we're probably going to see a bit of a slowdown here for St. Clair. Much better round so far compared to round number 1, where they were eliminated in 27th overall, with like 70 players still left in the game. That being said, though, being up here in these towers does allow you to get some cheap shots if you can catch somebody or some team trying to make a rotation. And sure enough, that's exactly what the Saints are going to try and do. Other than a little bit of shield damage, nothing to really capitalize on as of this moment. That was actually a 6-shot there from Siri right out of the truck, and he's going to find the elimination. That was actually so clutched. You very rarely see that happen. Of course, you are protected for the most part if you hop in the truck unless you land the perfect shot. And Siri tagging somebody right through the window, knocking them down, and then being able to out-DPS the wall before that teammate could actually heal him. Gets the Saints their, it would be 4th kill of this game, so sitting there with about 8 points as of right now, based off of eliminations. And then, of course, for each round, you can only cap at 10 points, or no, 10 kills, I believe, per round. So you can score up to a max of 20 points based off of kills. And then at that point, you just have to survive. But right now, Saints are already looking very, very strong here in this game. This game is crazy. I can't follow it anymore, but that is a-okay. Even sitting here on the commentary desk, I feel like I'm learning something here every single week. It's definitely a handful to try and keep track of, but it is definitely a lot of fun. Storm about to crash on through. We're about halfway through the game, just about to get ready to enter that midsection, or the mid game, or into the late game, so to speak. Some more shots fired, fort to fort, but nobody's getting really tagged up as of right now, with exception of Lasix right now on the Saints side, sitting there with about half of his health remaining. As he was the one who did get jumped on. Some shots are squeaking through the walls. Does tag some of Siri's shield. Zane's going to be able to retreat and get everybody topped off, at least on a little bit of their health. Of course, health packs and shields galore as of right now here for them. But we can see, of course, up in the top right, we do have the Storm basically ready to start moving in on itself, which means the Saints cannot stand still. They need to move. So we're going to lead the charge, and right now, pretty well uncontested, just going along the cliffside, get themselves into position. Nobody else really taking any pot shots here at them. Now that they're in position, take a little bit of extra time to heal back up once again, but never mind. Team from above looking to take Saints down as of this moment. Siri using as much resources as necessary. Keep themselves boxed in. Not let anybody through. I mean, from that position, unless they were on top of a sniper tower for themselves, they would have been exposed to another team, so they would have had to move. I see we got the Siri fan club in chat. This is what I'd like to see. Of course, send your energy to Siri and the squad. As we get ready to close in on the late game, of course, now it's gotten to the point where that storm is going to be moving drastically over and over again. That yellow smoke is going to be basically poisonous gas. Not going to want to stand in that, obviously. One of the upgrades that are available for crossbows nowadays. Launch that at a wall, and you basically can just smoke somebody right out of a fortress if it hits the right spot. So, going to be watching out for that as the Saints move on forward to try and get to the next point. They have themselves quite the ways to go, and they do spot some teams crossing alongside them. Do they stop and take the fight, or do they keep running? Because the storm is going to be right on their heels. Chasing on through, Siri, shield shot. Moving on forward, still nice and healthy. Does take a solid shield shot himself. Junie gets taken down, but it is going to be the 1-for-1 in this situation. Junie does go down, but he does take somebody with him. So Saints with 7 eliminations right now in this game. So you do see it pop up right here. That was Lucky Fan who went down. So Saints not in a bad spot, but of course want to hang on for dear life. Some good shots here from Siri and Lasix. Lasix trying to go basically face first here, but he's going to be walking into a bunch of other players, and Lasix might have overextended just a touch, and Siri is right behind him in a bad position. Siri's going to make sure he can clean up that kill before going down. Saints going to place 10th in game number 2, which means overall, where does this place them? We'll see in just a second. With a total of 51 points. We'll have to see where that does end up placing them in a little bit as the games do continue forward. I do believe Fortnite Tracker is a website that we can also be using here to keep track of where we are sitting. Looks like Siri is actually going to let me cheat a little bit by peeking off of his screen. In just a second. Maybe not. It didn't quite catch that, unfortunately. So we'll have to Fortnite Tracker this one, actually. Take a quick look. PlayVS, of course. Play versus college. But it looks like I'm going to actually... These guys are just going back and forth, it looks like. So it looks like game number 3 is about to begin. Not going to waste any time. Of course, game 2 was a much better one there for St. Clair compared to game 1. But that being said, 10th being their highest placing finish is very uncharacteristic for them. So looking forward to seeing what they can pull off this time by in game number 3. And then, of course, make sure you follow us here as we're getting ready to play the other epic game here, going into the action tomorrow. Doubleheader of Play versus Rocket League, starting at 8 p.m. and then 9:30 p.m. approximately here on the twitch.tv/SaintsGamingCA channel. Of course, make sure to follow us so you get all the action and catch all of the action you may have missed, as we do pretty constantly play past matches from the season at hand while we are waiting to go live. So make sure you catch all of it. Follow us here on Saints Gaming CA, and hopefully I'll see you for Rocket League tomorrow as well. But enough about tomorrow. Let's worry about right here, right now, today. Going to be hopping right back into the swing of things here for Game 3. Similar, if not exact, landing location. We'll have to see if anyone's looking to contest the Saints right away, or if is it going to be a nice quiet start. Taking a look at the leaderboard here on Fortnite Tracker, it does mention that we are about... With 51 points, we would be approximately 28th. However, a lot of those other teams that are sitting here with 51 points got their base off of 1 game. So Saints getting their base off of 2 is going to have them at a bit of a disadvantage here so far, but it's nothing that can't be brought back. We still have a very long night ahead of us in regards to much more Fortnite action. We can definitely bring this back. Hopefully I don't curse it, but as of right now, it seems like a rather quiet landing here for the Saints. Siri has himself a crossbow and the harpoon. However, he kind of needs something for a little bit of consistency. A shotgun, not bad, especially if it does end up being close range. It just needs to find himself some sort of mid-range weapon, and he will be A-okay for the most part going into this mid-game. Let's see, so far here for Siri, no mid-ranged weapon, but he basically has everything else that he could probably be looking for at this point. Has himself some shields, he has himself some bandages as well. Extra added utility there with that harpoon. Then the bow and shotgun, of course, is his weapons, so maybe one of his teammates here, maybe either, of course, Lasix or Junie does happen to find themselves an extra. We'll see momentarily. Like the Saints aren't going to have to move, however. They're not exactly in a position where they could stick around much longer. Storm is going to be on their way very, very shortly, within a minute's time. And of course, I want to also, while we're awaiting here in this this looting up phase, I do want to give a big thank you to everybody for tuning in. Of course, personal special goal of mine here on this Saints channel is the fact that we are actually, off of this Twitch channel alone, right on the verge of hitting over 400,000 here on our channel, which is absolutely amazing. So I want to thank everybody for their support over the years. Big thank you, and here's to many more. Not much gas left here on this transport truck here for Siri, but I doubt that he's going to be keeping this thing very long anyway. Got exactly what he needed out of it. Has all of the shields necessary. Reload on some harpoons as well, and he actually, well, I was talking about beer ship and such, it looks like we have ourselves the flame burst bow and arrow here for Siri. So this is either going to be the one that acts like similarly to a Capitao bolt, if you're familiar with Rainbow Six Siege, where it hits the ground and then just spills fire all over the floor, or this could be the one we'll see momentarily, of course, when we get into the action. This is one that acts like a mortar, where it shoots the arrow and then splits off into multiple explosions. We'll have to see. It's going to be fireworks either way here, as long as Lasix doesn't run Siri over. That'd be funny, but I think even if you do hit your own teammate, you just kind of send them flying. No actual damage done. One thing I want to see one day is somebody smoke their teammate with a car to launch them into a fort to blast them with the shotgun. That'll be the day. That's a little specific, however, so I don't know what the likelihood is that we'll see that, but we'll see. They just passed a sheep? What was that? Oh, a chicken. Oh, he got him. Wait a minute. What hasn't this game thought of? Seriously. Is that actually any faster than just running, or is this just for the, I mean, I guess you can scout a little bit as using it as a high ground. Would have spotted out that one team coming around the side in the car. In fact, they're actually going to start peppering Siri here. So props to, I guess, the chicken. to kind of give Siri some knowledge. And wait a minute, where did this come from? I didn't even see that silver chest, but that is going to be a rocket launcher. RPG ready to go here for Siri. We don't see this very often in the slightest. I know personally the only time I have ever gotten a solos victory royale, because my aim is a bot, and it needed me to have a rocket launcher back in like one of the original seasons, and it was a one-on-one, and I couldn't find the guy, so I just blew him up with a rocket launcher. There's a reason why I'm just behind the commentary desk and not actually playing this thing. But especially with this season, it seems like other than the legendary rocket launcher, I don't know if there is actually like a purple variant or a blue variant. You never really see it too often here. That's interesting. I did not realize you can actually pick up these mushrooms if you have full shields already. Save them for later. Increase your shields. I believe it's only by like 5, but still can definitely be a make or break difference in a late game scenario. Fishy. Now that stinkfish, I know you need that for the gas-based bow and arrow. However, is that what it's going to be used for? I'm not 100% sure. We'll have to go through and see ourselves. Because, of course, like, wait a minute, Mr. Danner is commentator. You're talking a lot about things you don't really know. Well, why are you casting Fortnite? Hey, we're having fun here, and we are learning things together. This is exactly what I'd like to see. I know personally, I will definitely admit it, not a Fortnite expert, but still, just happy to spend the night here with all of you, bringing you the action here of this Play vs. Fortnite Trios action. And of course, learning a thing or 2, or 5, or 7. This Fortnite just keeps changing. But it makes it nice and interesting that way now, doesn't it? Man, that has to hurt. Did that guy just zipline across the line based off of the hair on his bun? Or on her bun in this case? That can't be comfy. And we're going to do it again, though, because it may not be comfy, but it is damn well efficient being able to just travel from one side of the map to the other. One thing that has me worried, though, about this rocket launcher is, like, how often do you find ammo for it? Because right now, we do see in the bottom right-hand side, of course, on that yellow square for the rocket launcher itself, there's only 3 shots to that rocket launcher. Is it easy to find more? Because otherwise, that is going to find its use go bye-bye nice and quickly. A nice quiet travel so far here for the Saints in game number 3. No real conflicts, and to be honest, no real threat of them even getting smoked by the storm or anything like that. So they're going to be able to just leisurely make their way into this storm zone, or in the safe zone rather. Set themselves up in a small fort, with that being said, with the storm making its move basically completely on the other side of where they built their fort. Going to have to move aside again, but of course, not too bad in regards to resources here for the Saint squad. 500, 500 here for Siri, and I'm sure Basics and Junie right around the corner as well with a bunch of resources. Can hear a couple of shots in distance, but none of these as of right now directed towards the Saints until we hear Lasix actually firing the first shots here from the Saint side of things. So possible engagement at hand momentarily. We'll have to see about that. Found enough materials to level up that shotgun to a blue form, so a little bit more accurate, a little bit more damaging. Good to see. Especially since we're starting to get closer and closer to having a bunch of close range engagements here. Don't want to be going into the mid to late game with a green shotgun, considering everybody else probably has at least blue at the minimum. Shots fired from behind, however, going to tag Siri up for a little bit of his shield. Instantly popping through with the fortification. Keeps himself nice and safe. Does have that blue pot available if he does want to pop himself back up to full. Hanging on for just a second. Getting himself at least a little bit of resources here. Just on the inside of this storm zone. Does pop his potions. Now he's all topped off at 100 again. Junie and Lasix right here alongside Siri, ready to go as well. Next move depends on where the storm goes here, as we do see Saints in a position ready to move if necessary, but they would much rather the storm just keep them in mind and stay nice and close to them. We'll have to see in just a second. Right on the edge of where their fort is. So to be honest, they don't have to move very far. So they can take their time here, getting ready to pick their next move. One thing to take note is the terrain that we're going towards next. It is that little creek. So not very much space in regards to the ground. You'd have to build on top of the water. Otherwise, you fall into the water. I mean, you're not a complete sitting duck. It's not like classic or old school Fortnite, if you want to say that old school Fortnite is a thing, where you slowly had to crawl across the water, miserably slow. I'm gonna hold that thought for a second, as we do have ourselves an engagement down here on the floor here with the Saints, and sure enough, somebody gets the jump. It's gonna be Siri taking the first bit of heat. Junie and Lasix ready to fire through. Rocket launcher opportunity here. Going to fire it aside. I don't know if he was trying to find somebody specific or what. But not going to opt to go up against the building in this situation. Take the moment, get himself back up to 50 shields, and then get ready to take the next fight. Of course, in the safe zone, basically, the last little bit of land. Some shots fired. That's going to be the smoke gas, forcing Siri to think twice about making his move that way. What did I say? The smoke gas? The poison gas. That's what I meant. One thing I totally forgot about as well, that you can, of course, eat the stinkfish just strictly for some health, so Tyrion going to keep himself at 100 and 100 now that potion is through. Junie and Lasix doing a good job in this game, keeping themselves nice and safe. I don't think they've really got tagged up a whole heck of a lot so far this entire game so far. Saints on the pace to find themselves a very far finish, a very good finish here in this third round. However, eliminations are going to be eluding them this time by. Of course, to compare game number 2, they did get themselves, I believe it was 10 elimination. Oh no, they got to the top 10, but they also found themselves with about 7 or 8 eliminations. 17 teams still left here in this game. Every point counting here for St. Clair, especially after the rough start, especially for game 1 where they got taken down rather early. You end the game with only 4 points. That one hurts. Okay, somebody running right across the across Sirius here. You're going to get the jump, take a little bit of shield damage. Not going to finish him off, however. Lasix and Junie going to be opening fire on the player as well. Just send some scurrying aside, but not going to be able to take him down. And now, with the storm about to move, Saints are going to be making their move as well. So you're going to lead the charge to go towards other players' fortresses in this situation. Try to use it as cover. As of right now, they've been able to do it nice and clean. A little bit of preventative building as well, just in case. Lots of shots fired, and actually extremely close to the Saints here as we continue on getting closer and closer towards this late game. As of right now, everybody on the Saints, even though just dodging some bullets, able to keep themselves at 100 each. Player on the opposite team there has been spot out. Junie from the high ground going to try and make a player get into position to make the play. And then the rest of the team of the player that was below them seemed to be right above them. Saints going to try and opt to go for them. They knock them down. Point blank situation. Big shotgun shot there for Siri. And the rest of the Saints are going to clean this up nicely. Beautifully done there. Lasix and Junie going to get themselves on the kill feed. And it looks like Siri does as well. So there we go. 1 kill on the board here for St. Clair. 2 kills actually, because that was of course both of them. Saints doing a solid job staying alive. Of course, I saw it there on the left-hand side, currently in the top 12, so on pace to match basically where they were last time by. There we go, 2 eliminations, some more points on the board here. St. Clair, somebody picked that one up, and actually there's going to be another one. Akron player goes down. Props to the players that actually put their school in their tag. Makes things so much easier to try and actually build a story for. Because I keep obviously saying there's like 99 players, 33 teams from different schools. But then ends up being like Little Timmy, like 311 or something like that. It's like, how do I know which school Little Timmy's from? And okay, Siri nearly finding himself as the third member in that battle. Two teams going up against it, but they have to worry now. The storm has gotten so small that it's going to start getting messy. 14 players remaining here in this game. Another knockdown here going to be scored by Siri. He's actually just going to straight up yeet him off the side. That's the first I've seen something like that happen. Kind of a funny kill, to be honest. Nicely done there for the Saints. Glazix finds himself 2 as well, so the eliminations are starting to roll in here for St. Clair. This is what we like to see. All 3 of them still alive, and there's only 8 players total in this game. Saints just have to hunt down 5 more people, and they will get themselves a victory royale. They're in a fantastic position, to be honest, to do so. They have themselves the high ground, are catching people out. One more does end up going down. Saints not going to get credited with that kill, however. Going to be Lasix going down point blank here, essentially, with the teams. Junie's short to follow as well. Storm getting in close, and of course the Storm actually kind of hurts now. So you can see even just a second takes like 5 health off of you. And as the rest of the Saints move on in, I like seeing that Siri's kind of looking around, looking for a flanker, looking for a roamer of sorts. I'm not sure how exactly he could pull off the roamer in this case, looking for a flanker, I suppose. Some big damage coming out here from Siri. Finds a lot of shield shots, while the other Saints members are just constantly peppering him. Goes point blank with them. Junie is going to go down, but going to be the knockdown going down for Siri, and then Lasix finishes the kill, and the Saints are going to clean house. Victory royale in game number 3. Huge comeback. And just like that, they get themselves basically right back into the swing of things. Over 100 points now here in this game after a successful victory royale that just completely turned on its head at like the moment's notice. 129 points currently there for them right now, which would in theory put them into 4th. Now we have to, of course, wait a briefest of moments here for the rest of the games to calculate before we know exactly what we're looking at here, but there we go. This is the kind of rounds that we knew the Saints had in them. They absolutely clutched it up. Perfect positioning, and props to them. The fact that everybody stayed alive up until the very last moment, and then I believe it was Junie who went down. However, it ended up being basically a bait of sorts. Bit of a refrag almost, if you will, as he did get knocked down, but then Lasix was right there, Siri was right there, and everybody else just got taken down either by shots or by storm. So St. Clair, a victory royale in game number 3. That's what we like to see. Of course, we're queuing up for game number 4. It won't be very long before we hop into it. Going to take a quick water break here before we hop into the action. Please do stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. Of course, we still have another 2 hours of action here tonight.